What's up, people? Thank you for tuning in to my very first spoiler review. And what better of a movie to do it about Blade Runner 2049? Coming up next. So my spoiler review of Blade Runner 2049. You know what? I will just say right off the top, I like this movie a lot. Not as much as everybody else, but at the same point in time, I gave it an 8 out of 10 of a score. You know what? That is still really damn good, but I want to go into why I actually felt about the movie the way that I did. And I know that I'm not the only one that actually feels this way, so let's get into it. And I will just say right off the top, this is going to be a spoiler review. I am going to spoil the shit out of this movie. So if you haven't seen the movie, stop this video right now and go out and see the movie. It is really damn good. Come back and let's have a discussion about it, because there's a lot to discuss here and I want to hear from people. So starting with the spoilers, Kay as a replicant. I feel like, you know what? This is a very, very, very good revelation that actually happens in the first scene of the movie, and I feel like it works out for me a lot in the action scenes. Kay can take a freaking beating, dude. Dave Bautista shoves him straight through a wall. Man, I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it to just have these action scenes that pack a punch. And you know what? I didn't expect to be into the action that much in this movie. I expected to be into the philosophy, but not so much the action. But this movie actually did both for me. And you know what? Ryan Gosling did the action very well, and he was just really good. But I feel like a lot of the action, it coincides with the fact that he is a replicant. He can take a beating and keep on ticking. And trust me, people, he definitely does. But I really want to talk about Kay as a replicant going through the entire movie, because I have a little bit of an issue with it. I love the idea of them playing with the fact that everybody knows that Kay is a replicant. You know, it's not a secret, it's not a surprise. But where I thought this was going to go was, in the end of the movie, you find out that Kay isn't actually a replicant, and Kay is actually real, like an actual person. And I felt like that would have been like almost like the inverse of what people like try to say about Blade Runner, how Deckard was actually a replicant, and you find that out at the last scene of that movie. And you know, I think I would have liked that for this movie. But besides that, Kay wants to feel like he's an actual person, and he actually has a girlfriend at his home who is pretty much a hologram projection named Joy. And Joy is played by Ana de Armas, and she is pretty damn good in this movie. And I do like the whole dichotomy that they have where, you know what, Kay actually falls in love with another computer program or another form of AI. And it's really cool. But there's a lot about Kay that is very cool in this movie, and Ryan Gosling conveys a lot of emotion as this character, and I like seeing him unravel towards the later half of the film, but also the stoic half, the android half, is really, you know, it lends itself to Ryan Gosling's strengths as this stoic actor, and I feel like he is very well cast in this movie. One big surprise that happens at the very beginning of the film is that Kay finds the remains of Rachel, you know, Deckard's replicant girlfriend from the first Blade Runner, and she actually had given birth to another replicant. And that is a fascinating concept of a replicant giving birth to another replicant. And I can see why Kay's boss, played by Robin Wright Penn, wants Kay to actually research this. But at the same point in time, you guys all know where this is going, because we are to think that it is actually like Kay, right? I mean, he wants to feel important, and he would be the first replicant being born from another replicant. That would make him very important, and I feel like that is a very strong character arc for Kay. But unfortunately, you find out that it is actually not Kay. It is this woman that you see in the middle half of the movie that constructs the dreams that go into the replicants. And, wow. You know, what they are trying to say is that Kay isn't actually important. So that's a pretty heavy thing that this movie deals with towards the later half of the movie, and it is something that kind of frustrated me just because of the fact that this character that I've been following for the whole entire time, thinking that he was important, actually isn't important. And to follow somebody for almost 3 hours, and to find out that he actually isn't important, it kind of lets the wind out of your sails, and it's a definite surprise when it comes, but it just makes me say, well, what the hell? Why have I been following this guy for the past 3 hours? And I know what the movie wants to say. It wants to say that, you know, Kay was kind of he thought, you know, to use modern day terms, that he was a special snowflake. You know, Kay thought that he was special, and he thought that he was unique. But the moral of the story is, Kay, you are not unique, you are not special. But you will do special things, like bringing Deckard to his daughter. And that is the more important thing for Kay to do, rather than to be Deckard's son. To me, that is something interesting to play with, you know, a person not actually being as important as we are led to believe. And I feel like that is an interesting character arc that this movie handles not so well. And there are other smaller issues with this movie where, you know, again, it all centers around Kay. You know, once Harrison Ford comes into play here, he kind of steals the show. And I think I alluded to that with what I just said. You know, it becomes all about Deckard. Kay gets kind of punked in this movie. He gets punked out. And that's sad to me. I like this character. I actually like him a little bit more than Deckard. But, you know, you got to make it about Harrison Ford. He was in the first movie, and, you know, you got to make him a central character here, and okay, all right. Another thing that I didn't quite like about the movie is, you know, they of course have to have a Roy, and in this movie, that is Love. She's a badass chick, and I definitely love the fight scenes that she has with Kay. You know, she does this spin kick, and she keeps on getting him with it. Damn, I like that. She just isn't given the room to do something in this movie like Roy. And for that, I just feel like there is a very much like a lack of villains in this movie, you know? Like, you have Jared Leto and his character here, and you have Love. Jared Leto, they don't even, like, bring him down towards the end of this movie. And I feel like that's because they want to make a sequel to this movie, and I'm up for it. I don't think it'll happen, but I'm up for it. But you know what? It's just like, okay, resolve the issues that you set forth. And I don't think that they did with this particular movie, because of the fact that, you know, Love, she wasn't given any room to grow in this movie, and Jared Leto's character, they're obviously setting him up for a later movie where you have the replicants at war with the actual humans, and you know, that might be a spectacle, and it might not be a philosophical movie like this movie was, but that could be, you know, a very good movie. But at the same point in time, you have to resolve the issues that you set forth in the movie that you made here, and I don't think they did too much towards the end. But hey, this movie had some problems, but you know what? I stated in my previous review of Blade Runner 2049, I love Ryan Gosling in this movie. I actually like Harrison Ford a bit, and I like all of the supporting cast in the movie. I just want to be more fulfilled by the ending of this movie. I felt like the wind was knocked out of me at the end of this movie, and that is why I couldn't get into this movie as much as Blade Runner, but still I recognize it is a beautiful and polarizing movie that I will definitely be going back to, and yeah, that's how I felt about it. I gave it an 8, and I feel like it's still a very strong movie and a strong rating. So what's coming up next, people? I definitely have to get into Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm going to do a review for the movie. I'm going to review the 4K Blu-ray and the regular Blu-ray. That's going to be coming up very damn soon. I'm going to kick that one out really quick because I have to get into my Horror Fest, and you guys won't want to miss it. I tried to keep those relevant to you know, releases that came out recently or releases that I felt like have come out in the past year that weren't really covered heavily. And it'll still be like informative for you guys to actually have me review the Blu-rays and review some horror movies that I like that aren't, you know, the typical horror movies. I can tell you right now, I'm not going to review The Shining or The Thing. I love The Shining and The Thing, but I am not going to review that just because that's too on the nose for me to give you guys this early on. I want to give you guys movies that I don't think that you might not have heard of, but are still damn good. And guys, I want to hear your thoughts about my problems with Blade Runner 2049 and about your problems with 2049. And you know what? If you liked it, fine. And you thought it was even better than the original, I want to know. Comment below. I want to know what everybody thought about it. And you know what? If you subscribe, then you will know whenever I come out with videos. I'm going to be coming out with videos a lot more often for you guys. And I want you guys to enjoy everything that I put out. I thank all of you for watching so early on as usual. I love you guys, and I will thank all of you next time.